Hi everyone, we'll start in just a second. So welcome to the latest video in a series of videos that I do from time to time to just share things that are coming in upcoming courses that I want you to have whether or not you decide to do the course. One second. Oh, good. I was just being told it looks okay. I like when it looks okay. Actually, before I even do that, Happy New Year. And I hope you had great holidays. So, from time to time, we share course material from courses that I think will be of benefit to you, whether or not you're about to take the upcoming course. And we're doing a goals course in a couple of weeks, starting on the 20th. And so there's some material from that that I wanted to share with you. So here we go. So one of the most powerful applications of the Sedona method is with goals. When you use releasing to support you in having, being, and doing whatever you choose, it's an amazing motivator to let go. And also, the more you let go, the more likely you are to create what you choose. And also, the more likely you are to be happy and joyous and at peace, whether or not you get the goals. And this is very important. For most of us, there's a lot of stress around having goals. There's a lot of shoulds and shouldn'ts. And that can really distract from the experience of pursuing whatever goals seem right to you. And on this last retreat that I just finished, someone asked about a Lester quote. And the quote is, "The most impossible becomes completely possible when you're fully released on it." Except that's only part of the quote. And I agree with that quote, by the way. But that's only part of it. The part that most people ignore, the part that most people leave out, is the second part of the quote. And you'll know when you're fully released on it when you don't give a hoot. And what he meant by that is when it's completely okay whether you get it or not. And this is unusual for someone to recommend that as a way to get what you want. Most of us think we've got to pump ourselves up and push, push, push until we get it. And that might occasionally seem to work. But it is usually a physical, emotional, and worldly blowback. The more we push, the more we try to pump ourselves up. And we can't always maintain it. And sometimes we don't even have the energy to try. But with releasing, it's always about letting go and allowing change to start from the inside out. So one of the ways you can release is by allowing yourself to be okay whether you get it or not. And so let's do a release on that now. So in this moment, what if, just what if, whatever is apparently happening is already wholeness, is already enough, is already boundlessness, is already freedom. And by the way, this is a great way to come to any release and come to getting goals. If you allow yourself to come from the perspective of this is already wholeness, there's a tremendous energetic support in that, besides it feeling good. And then allow yourself to think of anything that you'd like to have more of or less of, any goal or dream or aspiration. And then could you allow yourself to picture it already having happened? What would it look like? What would it feel like? How would it sound to have already achieved the goal? And I'll give you a moment to just get into it as though it's already happened. What does it feel like? What does it look like? How does it sound? And then usually the reason, or one of the reasons, that we don't apparently get our visualizations is because there's still thoughts and feelings to the contrary. So check to see if there are any thoughts or feelings to the contrary in this moment. And a very powerful way of allowing those contrary thoughts and feelings to the contrary to come up, and a very powerful release within itself, is it okay whether or not that happens? Just use that question. Or you can say, that will either happen or it won't. That one's even more powerful. Now, there may be a release in just acknowledging that, but it will also often bring up anything to the contrary. So whatever might be arising in response to that statement, could you just welcome it, allow it, notice it? Is it welcomed or allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then as best you can, just for now, could you let that go? Just could you? Would you? When? And let's take that a little deeper. What if that may or may not happen? You may feel like a lust to have it happen, and you may feel a fear or a dread or a resistance to it not happening. But whatever arises, could you just welcome it or allow it? Could you just be present with it? Is it welcomed or allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then as best you can, just for now, could you allow that to release? Could you let it go? Allow it to unravel? Would you? When? And let's do that one more time. Allow yourself to just be open at least to the possibility that it may or may not happen. And that may be getting easier to do. And remember, just acknowledging that it may or may not happen is a release in itself. There can be a relaxation in that. But if there's any pushback or holdback, any doubt, any holding on or holding back, could you just welcome or allow it? Is it welcomed or allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then as best you can, just for now, Could you let that go? Just could you? Would you? When? Now let's do a visualization again. Focus on that same goal or dream or aspiration or any other one. And could you picture it as though it's already happened? What does it look like? How does it feel? What does it sound like? Allow yourself to engage all your senses as best you can. And then as a way of bringing up anything to the contrary, and a quick way to start opening to imperturbability, just ponder that may or may not happen. And then check to see if there's any push or pull, any emotional response to that on any level. And if there is it welcomed or allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then as best you can, just for now, could you let that go? Just could you? Would you? When? And again, that may or may not happen. Does it feel okay either way? And if it doesn't, or if there's an attachment to it going one way or the other, could you just welcome or allow that? Is that welcomed or allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then as best you can, just for now, could you let it melt or dissolve, merge with boundlessness, with the one energy, the one beingness that all is? Would you? When? And again, that may or may not happen. And just notice the inner response. It's probably getting quieter. It's probably feeling more open, more possible. And there's probably more ease, more acceptance, maybe even peace. But whatever's arising, could you just welcome it? Allow it. Be present with it. And if there's any part of that that seems contracted in any way, could you let it go? Just could you? Would you? when. And then could you be open at least to the possibility that this is already boundlessness, already abundance, already empty fullness. Already radiant aliveness, as it is or as it appears. So I hope you enjoyed that. I would recommend that if you did, or you feel like you could benefit more from it, that you watch that a few times and maybe even share it with the people you think who might appreciate it. And if you're intrigued, I highly recommend that you check out the Goals course that we're starting on the 20th of January. On this course, we're going to explore many very powerful applications of releasing that will help you to have, be, and do whatever you choose, but also will very much further your sense of openness, peace, ease, joy, well-being on every level. And it will contain all the latest updates and breakthroughs in releasing. So I hope you can join me. And thank you so much for listening or watching. That's all for this session. Until the next time, bye.